Hello, beautiful souls. It's Taku, and this is another episode of Taku Talks. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about men. And I want to get out of the way that this video is going to seem or come off sexist. It might seem or come off as, misogynistic. But I guarantee and promise it's not sexist in any way. And because I'm saying this now, getting it out of the way now, I'm not going to say it again during the video. So if you get offended or pissed off or take something out of context, that's not my problem. I'm not going to say sorry because, again, I'm making it known and clear now that the video is going to come off that way. It's going to appear that way, sexist, but it's not. I'm just speaking from the experience of myself and literally billions of other men. So, without further ado, here we go. So, as I said before, this video is for men by men. So from the moment we, can talk and walk, it's immediately ingrained in us that our purpose, as men is pretty much in other people. Being strong, being a provider, being a husband, a father, happy wife, happy life, etc., etc. Every guy's heard this shit constantly. Now, I'm not saying, there's anything at all wrong with being a provider or being a husband or I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of those things. It's just that society, as I said, from the moment we can walk and talk, it's shoved down our throats that our purpose are those things, that our purpose lies in other people, that our purpose isn't in us, it's outside of us. We're taught that, but we're wondering why so many men aren't in touch with their emotions. They're not, in touch with who they are. This is just one of many, many reasons. Now, as we get older, we're told that if we don't want a relationship or if we don't want to settle down, that we're immature, we're childish, which is obviously fucking bullshit. We're told and taught that our priority is making a woman comfortable, bring her over backwards to make sure she's happy, and that if she's not, that, is somehow our fault. It reflects on us and makes us, a failure, which, again, is bullshit. Society makes billions and billions of dollars on this pressure put on men. But once we speak up, we're whining, we're not strong, we're broke, we're bums, etc., etc., a bunch of bullshit. Of course, and we're told to figure out her happiness, figure out, her wants and her desires, her needs, figure out, how to get and keep her pleased. But what about us? There are thousands and thousands of hours and thousands of dollars being spent, trying to figure out, women and understanding women. But again, where's that time? Where's that money being spent on trying to figure out or understand men? Understand men as men, instead of trying to mold or change us internally as men, or trying to fit us into this idealistic version that they have us in their minds, in their fantasies, and it's being shown in reality in society, and it's not fucking looking good. But society has been this way. It's been this way for a few decades now, and it's only getting worse. We have men, ashamed and disgusted to be men, men disgusted with their masculinity, feeling like it's nothing but, being deviant and destructive and toxic, which is 110% fucking false. Now, I won't at all lie, this was me up until a few months ago. And by few, I literally mean about 3 or 4 months ago. This shit that I'm saying and spilling was me. I avoided saying tons of things to not appear as a fuckboy or a dick, or to come off as sexist, or usually it was to, avoid upsetting them or hurting their feelings, because it's a woman, so of course, I don't want to upset her or hurt her feelings, because if I do, even a little bit, that must mean I am sexist, I am a dick, that must mean I do hate women. So I pretty much ended up swinging far to the other side, and didn't have myself at all in any kind of way. It was just brought anxiety of, should I do this or do that? Should I not say this, not say that? It's just a bunch of worrying, a bunch of self-hatred that comes with it, a bunch of self-disgust. It helps no fucking body. And of course, you don't just go around being a fuckwad, but you shouldn't sacrifice or not set boundaries and put your wants on the back burner just to avoid all that, Like, don't be a dick, but also I matter too. But, if you go through that trying your best to not step on anyone's toes at all, then obviously you're gonna fail, because that's impossible. And I definitely failed often. And I'm not even meaning with sex. This is just when it comes to interactions. Like, of course, I wouldn't say a ton, but because I grew up with women, I had a single mom, I had a lot of female friends, whether it was a kid, and even now I do. But when it came to being more than friends, or trying to move past, that friend stage, that's where all the anxiety came in, all the overthinking came in, all the self-disgust, or like, okay, let me make sure I do or don't say this. It's just a vicious cycle that you just won't win. And I recently had a realization, that I've been ashamed of my masculinity. I've been ashamed of my sexuality. Unless it was absolutely needed, I've always felt inside that being assertive or speaking up is, toxic or toxic masculinity, or being an ass. While with women, I saw it as them, being strong and powerful, being this force. And then my sex drive is fucking insane. But because it's so high, I've always thought, man, it's just something wrong with me. Like, I want sex all the time, but that's bad. So I wouldn't say I'm a bad guy, but because I wanted it all the time, that made my masculinity, my manlyhood, made it toxic. So it's like, man. But with women, I view that as them, liberating themselves, empowerment, giving the finger to society, being goddesses. And, again, there isn't anything wrong with any of that. But you can't, empower one side and then demonize the other for literally the same fucking thing. But it's reality, and it is what it is. And another one that I realized is with MGTOW and Red Pill. It's called Sexist. People often say they hate women, but literally all they're paying attention to, what they're putting the magnifying glass to, are the so-called incels, the people who do actually hate women. But that's the small fucking minority that also identifies themselves as Red Pill or going MGTOW, even though all they want at the end of the day is sex. It isn't going their own way. It isn't actual Red Pill. It's just being angry and bitter. But of course, it has to do with men, so it's seen that way. Because with women and feminism, third wave feminism, I'll say that because feminism to an extent has been needed, very, very much so. But third wave feminism, it's been heralded as heroic and just the best damn thing since sliced bread. And even though it's also a minority of feminists who tout about hating men and wanting to kill men, you know, all of that, that's given literally no attention at all unless it's spoken by a guy, which then it's shut down. Or if spoken by a woman, then she gets called a pick-me girl, or she hates women too, when that isn't the case. So it's just a lot of double standards and a lot of double standards that men have to deal with. It's bullshit. Now, I could go on and on, but that would make this into a damn movie. But once that light bulb goes off, once that connection is made, it's very, very difficult to unsee how we've been living and conducting ourselves with self-hatred and disgust of our masculinity, shame of our sexuality and testosterone, you know, just shame of who we are and our manlyhood. Now, it's easy to then see why a lot of men it's easy to then see why a lot of men end up putting women on a pedestal because of the way we as men are raised, what we're told, what we're made to believe. And like, man, so of course, you know, we would, not all of us, of course, but a good amount of us would end up putting women on a pedestal, seeing them as superior or not being able to, you know, do any wrong, you know, just being angels. Now, I ain't shit, nor am I important, but from one guy who was one child of 3 to a single mom and a former simp to another guy, I promise you, there's nothing wrong with embracing and living in your masculinity. There's nothing wrong with wanting and desiring sex. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself, your life, and your needs before others. It's okay to not want to follow the path society lays out for us. It's okay. And it's okay to have boundaries and standards, even if society makes you feel like a dick or a monster for them. You know, they have standards, we can too. It's called being human. We all have things we do and don't like. We ain't a dick for them. You know, and it's okay to not desire or have ambition for a 6-figure job, you know, and be comfortable where you're at because you actually enjoy your job. There are plenty of us regular ass everyday men who have jobs where we're only making like 35 to 60K, and you know, we're comfortable because men overall generally are simple ass creatures. We don't want much. It's why we are forever entertained by dick jokes, by fart jokes. We're simple. So it's why a majority of men, I feel like, fall in this category of, you know, of course we'd all love to make 6 figures. Who wouldn't want that? Because that means you can do more, you can explore more. But at the end of the day, we have to be realistic in reality and be practical and realize that most of us, 80% plus, are going to end up making about 40 grand, 60 grand in our lifetimes, and then live off the 401ks or anything we have in stocks, our IRAs. That's reality, and that's okay. But society makes men feel like, oh, you don't want to do more, you don't want to chase more, then you're lazy. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with not wanting luxury. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable and be like, you know, I love my life where it's at. You know, I worked hard as fuck for this. I'm comfortable, I'm stable, I'm good. And ain't anything wrong with that. That could be your definition of success. Do you want more? Then go fucking get that shit. But if you're earning 30K, 40K, 50K, whatever, and you're comfortable, you're set, and you don't desire more, you do you, king. You fucking do you. Now, it's your turn to pass this message on to another man. Stay tuned for the next one. I love you guys.